It's described in one by, I think it was Senator Phil Berger, described it as veto rodeo. And I'm not sure if that's the case for the House. We'll find out. Joining us this afternoon, representing District 13, which is Carteret and portions of Craven County, mostly Havelock, we have our very own representative, Celeste Cairns, joining us, and she's been on the floor all day. I'm assuming working on override activities, and how's it going? Well, let me start off by saying welcome, Celeste. Thanks for taking the time to be with us. I know it's been a busy day.
It's been a great day. Some days at the GA are better than others.
All right. So the story I'm reading right now has the legislature overriding 8 of the governor's 14 vetoes. Is that number still the same, or has it increased since this was last written?
5, let's see, 6, 7, 8. I believe it is 8.
Okay.
8, but we also took one of our bills that you may know about that was basically the squatters bill is what we called it,
yeah,
to help with the removal of unauthorized persons off your property. So what we did was we did not try to override the original bill. They stripped a different Senate bill and put all the language into that bill and removed the one thing that the governor had said he had a problem with. And so we just ran a new clean bill. And so my expectation is, if he was telling the truth the first time, that he will sign this one.
Okay, what was it? What was his concern? This was also the pet shop bill, too. Which was...
That's it exactly, Lockwood. They removed the part about the pet shops. And so it was simply dealing with squatters.
Okay, but the pet shop bill was also designed to put a stop to puppy mills or any kind of pet mill, cats or rabbits or whatever. But it was designed to put a control on that, was it not?
Well, I think people would disagree about what it did. My understanding, one of the things that it did that the Democrats in particular did not like, and there were others that were concerned about it as well, is it removed local authorities' ability to regulate these shops.
Gotcha.
And gave it all to the state.
Right.
So, there's some jurisdictions that may have preferred to still have some control, maybe for that reason, to make sure that puppy mills were not involved. And the original bill was giving the state all the authority.
Okay, I think that's a valid point, and that is concern when you remove local control. Again, our guest this afternoon, we've got her for a few minutes here, Representative Celeste Cairns of the 13th District, Carteret, and as I mentioned, portions of Craven County, actually Havelock. Celeste, the real challenge has been on the House side. I say that with a certain degree of caution. The Senate is, for the conservatives, Republican side of the aisle, they have a veto-proof chamber. The House does not have that. Let's talk about this in relationship to several of the bills that the House had to debate for override. And if I understand this correctly, if the bill originated in that chamber, if the bill vetoed by the governor originated in that chamber, it had to go back to that chamber for the veto override. Is that correct?
It goes to that chamber first. Both chambers have to vote on it, but it goes to the originating chamber first to be overridden before it's then sent to the other chamber.
And so have there been any close calls that have resulted? In other words, well, let me put it this way. Have there been Democrats who have been willing to cross the proverbial political aisle to vote for the override?
Yes, in fact, we had 4 Democrats today vote with us on various bills. So not the same ones on every bill, but there were a couple in particular who voted with us on several of the bills, and 2 other gentlemen that came through on, 1 or 2 themselves. So 4 total that at least gave us 1 vote today, 1 or more votes today. Yeah.
All right. Now, of course, one of those votes having to do with concealed carry. How did that? What's the status on that vote?
The status on that vote. So that was a Senate bill.
Senate bill. Okay.
SB 50, called the Freedom to Carry Act. They did override the veto in the Senate chamber, and so it has been sent to us. But the Speaker did not elect to bring that to the floor today for various reasons, probably because, there was no confidence that we would have the numbers, and we will hold it. Essentially, we will hold it until we feel more confident that we can get that vote done. We should remind folks that even though we are essentially going home tomorrow and don't have firm plans to return this year, we still have 17 months in this biennium. Right. And the way the House works, those bills will stay on our calendar, and the Speaker is able to pull those out at any given time, essentially without notice. He is pretty good about giving a little bit of notice to the Democrats. But so, we still have intentions of being able to override the ones that we were not able to do today. So most of them we got done today. I believe there is one House bill that's still outstanding, and 3 or so that the Senate sent to us that we did not handle today.
All right. Now, let's talk about the override. Is basically at the conclusion of today's session, will that pretty much, unless there's a last-minute change, you don't anticipate any more veto override proposals or motions at this point?
You mean this week?
Yeah, for this week. Starting.
I don't expect any more overrides to be done at this time. There is a chance that we will come back, a day or 2 days over the course of the next few months. We could do them then, but like I say, there are still 17 months left, and, a lot of this has to be handled, gently from a political standpoint, especially for any Democrats who may be willing to vote with us. So, the timing could be important, right? Should we, if they get through their primary, for example, would they be more apt to join us next year? Or if they know that they're not challenged, that nobody filed to run against them, could that change the equation, for example? There are various things that have to be taken into consideration when your numbers are this tight. And some of the bills that didn't get taken up today, you may notice some of them could be labeled as more controversial, dealing with DEI in the schools or the Freedom to Carry Act that you mentioned, things like that. So we're just watching the numbers very carefully, and we'll just continue. But I just hope that at some point we'll find a path to get those overridden as well.
One bill that I found interesting, and of course it was overridden in the Senate, and it made it over to the House and was overridden in the House. And I find it interesting. And it's changing the structure of charter schools board of the General Assembly to a board of General Assembly appointees. In other words, the charter schools now will have their own board, as opposed to, if I understand this correctly, having to go through the State Board of Elections. And it gives the, please correct me if I'm wrong, but it gives the State Charter Board of, use the word, State School Charter Board, oversight of charter schools. I'm impressed to see that Democrats did, in fact, cross the aisle to support that. That's an indication to me that Democrats are seeing the benefit of greater choice. Your thoughts on that?
I think that's probably true. And I think that the point of the charter school is to offer something different, right, in particular communities. And so maybe they've seen some problems in the past with the state superintendent or the board trying to exercise more control. Honestly, I can't tell you about all the background on that bill.
I can appreciate that.
I can tell you that we did have 3 Democrats who voted with us on that one, Cecil Brockman,
Right.
who has joined us before, although on most of the overrides today, he was not one of the folks that came over. But on that bill, he did, and I believe he did on one other as well. And then Carla Cunningham and Shelley Willingham both voted with us on that bill as well. Yeah.
We're talking with Celeste Cairns, and we're not going to keep her too much longer. You have a meeting later on. Matter of fact, a half hour from now. It's been a busy day for you. What is going to be on tap tomorrow for you?
Tomorrow we reconvene, I believe, about 10:30 in the morning. We are going to work on the mini budget that I mentioned to you yesterday.
Right.
There was at least some progress made on that. Several things that we're going to be able to do. The enrollment funding for K-12 and community colleges, that's a big piece of it. Some of it is related to capital projects, making sure the funding is there for capital projects that are already underway. There's money for the DMV, in an effort to help improve the situation there. I believe the step increases for state employees are in that. There's several things that we get done that we consider these are the must-do things as far as the budget is concerned.
Have you had any conversation? Has the governor made any visit to the legislature as you were processing the vetoes? Was there any outreach from the governor on seeking either some support for his vetoes and or a compromise?
You know what? I believe that he has reached out to our leadership about that before today.
Okay.
And I'm quite confident that he reached out to his members, the Democrat members, but I don't have any insight into what was said to them, at least not yet.
But there has been some work. It is interesting.
Always.
I was reading the story earlier today that the governor was complaining that the legislature has not concluded the budget. And, of course, to say something positive about, I think it's important for the legislature to conclude the budget. However, it's not as if this is a continuing resolution. You've already got an existing, I would say it's not a continuing resolution. The budget that is in place as a result of the previous biennium stays in place, which is, I think, a very good situation. It doesn't create any kind of panic, but at the same time, it does create the opportunity, I think, for the state to really burrow down. And the fact that the House and the Senate are not in lockstep strikes me as a good thing from the perspective of an outsider. I'm thinking it shows that the legislature is really, there is definite, I don't want to say conflict, but there's definite opinions there, and it's not just a simple rubber stamp. I think that's a good thing. Your thoughts?
No, I think that's a good thing as well. As long as we eventually get to an agreement, there is conflict between the two chambers. Certain things that we on our side feel a little bit more are more important, let's say, and so there's that disagreement, and there's the negotiation that takes place. But as you say, that means that there are more eyes involved, more people taking it very seriously and doing very careful look at what spending we're doing and the way that we're going to tax the people of North Carolina. These things are important, and so it's not something that you should be doing very quickly or without careful consideration. So we will see. We'll see what happens. I feel like we will get there eventually, but as you say, we do have the ability to continue with our current budget, and we are making some key changes tomorrow to make sure that certain funding that has to be done does get done, and we're also taking some savings. So some of the money that would be recurring that we feel like is no longer needed or the agencies may already have extra money there, we're going to make sure that money does not get spent without us giving it careful review.